Correct. So, we mentioned the group that's here. We mentioned some people who might be hard done by, but there are a handful of players who have chosen not to be here. One of them, most notably, Christian Pulisic. So, a note from the article posted by Paul Tenorio, again, a GOAT reporter, best of the best, probably up there at least. The quote says that Christian and his team approach. This is from Matt Crocker, by the way, the U.S. sporting director. Christian and his team approached the federation and the coaching staff about the possibility of stepping back this summer, given the amount of matches he's played in the last 2 years, both at club and country level, with very little break. To put that in perspective, I saw a stat that said 120 games over the past 2 years. After thoughtful discussions and careful consideration, we made the collective decision that this is the right moment for him to get the rest that he needs. The objective is to ensure he is fully prepared to perform at the highest level next season. As you can imagine, your star player and captain asking to not be called into a camp made some people upset. It turned Alexi Lalas into your basic white girl, where he quoted the tweet and just said, I can't even. And of course, Alexi Lalas, with the following that he did, amassed 181,000 views, 173 comments, and roughly 25 quote comments. Whereas the Paul Tenorio comment or tweet himself has 211,000 views, only 13 comments, and a whole bunch more quote tweets. I figured instead of us sharing our ideas, which we can do at the end, maybe we just go through some of the gut reactions from the USMNT Twitter fan base and just react to those. Because I think that would give our viewpoint a lot more entertaining than just us talking about it. What do you say?
I am very much on board for that.
All right. So the first one that kind of popped out to me, right? This is why no one will buy into US soccer and get behind the team. I guess in relation to star players don't care, so why should the fans? Your thoughts on that sort of vibe right now?
You know what's going to get the fans to buy into the team? Success on the field. And that doesn't necessarily have to come through Christian. We have incredible depth in this national team. This is a great opportunity to look at some new faces and still see them be successful. It's happened before, it can happen again. We don't have to have all of our best players out there. And I really do feel like success from this team is what's going to drive fandom. Me personally, I became a fan of the sport after watching that 2014 World Cup. Had the US gone out there and just got walked off the field every single game, I don't know if I would have stuck with the sport and stayed being a fan.
And been
But
here.
they were just so fun to watch in that tournament. Even if they didn't win it all and they had, disappointing results against Belgium when they had opportunities to win, they were amazing to watch. They were so fun. They were going up against the big dogs and really just fighting hard. And it just made me fall in love with the sport. And it just made me realize how exciting the sport is. It's not just the stereotypical, they're walking around for 90 minutes and the game ends 0-0. There's a lot of exciting moments, a lot of tense moments. There's some amazing games. That's the kind of stuff that's going to get people to become fans and back the U.S. national team. It doesn't have to be with just sending your best players out there to, half-ass jog because you just played 3,700 minutes in the last season. You know, Send a team out there that's going to be hungry and fight for it. They don't have to be the stars every time.
Yeah. So I'm kind of torn on this one, right? So it's been a an argument for MLS that the casual soccer fan only wants to buy or only wants to watch stars, the best of the best, right? And that's actually something I know you made that comment an episode or two ago. I've made that comment before, right? People go to watch the players, not necessarily the teams at the beginning, right? With the U.S. men's national team, I'm not sure I completely agree with that. I think there's a handful of people who are like, "Oh my God, why would I watch these, C team level players? I never heard of them. I'll never see them again. I'm not going to watch that team." But as we get closer to the World Cup, as we get into more meaningful tournaments, it feels like the buzz should be more than it is, to the point where if we don't have one of our star players or a handful of them in this case, it still shouldn't take away from this idea that nobody's going to buy into US soccer and get behind the team, right? The national team carries a different, I don't even want to say level of respect, but it carries a different like aura, for
I don't know
lack of
what
a
you're
better
going for.
term. Like it carries a bigger like I don't know. I'm gonna use the term aura for lack of a better term, right? Like people respect that team more than the average club team because United States nationalism, my country over yours, like it carries more than just your general club team. So I don't know if Christian Pulisic saying, I've played 120 games in the last, 2 years, and I really haven't had an off season in about 18 months. It'd be nice to get one. I don't think people are going to be like, nope, I'm not watching the national team anymore. I think there are a handful of people who might do that, but the overarching group, I don't think so.
Yeah, and you know what I'll add on to that too is I think the national team when it comes to like big players is different from the club level because with the national team, you cheer for you I mean most likely you cheer for a national team because you have like personal roots to whatever country you're cheering for. It may not necessarily be the place you live in, but maybe it's like, oh, my parents are from Italy, so I'd root for Italy. Or like I was born and lived in France for a few years, so I root for France. It's not you're not like this may be the case for some people, but I think majority of people you're not like, oh, I'm rooting for France because I like Mbappe. Like you root for France because that's like your nationality most likely, right? So it doesn't really matter what the players are. Like, yeah, you want them to do well, but it's like you don't really care who's out there as long as they're doing well. But like the Premier League in the US is dominated by like the top six teams. That is where like almost all of the fandom comes from in the US. And why is that? Because that's where the best players are playing. That's where I think, you don't if you're in the US and you're just getting into the sport, it's not like, oh, I have this nationalistic tie to Chelsea. I have this, you know, I live down the street from Liverpool. Like you root for those teams because you like the players that are on those teams. That's where I think the player stardom it plays into effect more so in the club level. Where national team, it's like you root for most likely the country that you live in or the country you were born in. So it's like it doesn't matter what the players are. That's the team you're going to root for.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it's spot on, but there are a lot of comments here, so I wanna keep going.
Okay,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the next one here, if he needed a break, and I'm paraphrasing here, if he really needed a break, he should have stepped back from Milan, not the national team. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it there. Let you go.
I don't. What is the situation for the national team? Do these guys get paid to play for the national team?
Yeah, but not
Not
remotely
probably not
close to
nearly
what.
as much. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's
So,
it's on a per game basis. I think you get paid like for your performances. Like you get a base like a base like per game, and then if you win certain tournaments or things, you get paid out that way. But yeah, you're not getting paid what you're getting paid at your club.
right. So you're asking him to step away from the team that's paying his wages and is paying for him to live and to have a future. And you're also asking him to step away from his teammates who have been battling the entire year. I understand that they're not in the race for winning the title, but you're asking him to step away from a team that's still trying to battle to get into Europe. I think at this point they might be out already, but they're close enough where it definitely came down to the last couple of game weeks. So you're asking him to just quit on his team so that he could take a little break so that he can come and play Trinidad in the Gold Cup. It's kind of a ridiculous ask if we're being honest.
Yeah, this was one of my favorites, right? We have this conversation a lot, where club versus country, or club over country, or country over club, right? And we went down the rabbit hole of like, oh, people now see European teams as the threshold or as the ceiling, not their national team, right? It's kind of flipped where 10 years ago it was you want to get into the national team or you want to go to Europe so you can be better prepared for the national team, right? Now you want to play for the national team so you can get better prepared for Europe. It feels like that sort of flip. Never once in a million, billion, trillion, bajillion years will you ever see somebody saying, "Hey, boss, I know we're in the fight to, move up 2 spots in our table and get millions of extra dollars from TV revenue by the end of the season. But I got the Gold Cup coming up, and I got to go back to the United States, and it's Trinidad, and they beat us in 2018. We couldn't go to the World Cup, so it matters a lot. And I just need like 2 weeks, boss, just 2 weeks. Are you kidding? Are we for real? Like, why is that even? And that's not the only person who said that. I've seen a couple of people put that out, like, he should have stepped back from Milan because the national team is the number one. Like, and this is where I have an issue with USMNT overall group because it's like just so out of touch with reality, right? It's like you watch a soccer game 6 times a year. That's about it. Maybe you turn on a game if the Premier League's on. You're like, oh, there's a Anthony Robinson plays for Fulham. I'm gonna watch them. Maybe, right? There's no basis of reality where it's like, yes, he should definitely have stepped away from Milan and taken time off to play for us. No, stop that.
Mind you, also on top of all of that, Milan was playing in the Italy Cup final just a week ago.
Yeah,
So you're asking him to step away from a Europe like a chase for Europe in the league, and to quit on his team, who is in a final of the Italy Cup. Could you imagine
can
if it
you
was like imagine it was the other way around, right? Like
literally?
imagine you're going to Copa America, or I won't even say the World Cup because that's kind of extreme, but let's just say you're going to Copa America and Pooley was like, "Oh, sorry guys, like I'm gonna skip Copa America so that I can uh, um I'm gonna take off Copa America so that I can go like play a couple of regular season games for AC Milan. Sorry guys." They would lose their minds over it. I mean, that's kind of what I guess they're saying he's doing now, and they are losing their minds over it.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of the I guess you can say it's the mindset, right? Like you have people here who think the national team is the peak and they don't care about anything else and everything should come to the national team. But in reality, it doesn't work that way. And maybe that's tied into the way that the players are now acting and feeling, right? Like, oh, well, the national team is just secondary to what I need to do in my real job, right? And that's where I can kind of see this idea of like he should be playing, not saying that he should have stepped back from his club, but he should still be playing because the national team should be the peak. I can hear that argument. But this idea that he should have stopped playing for Milan to be ready for the Gold Cup, like the third highest tournament in CONCACAF, take a step back here, right? Just to build off of that, right? There's another comment here that said, super soft, he doesn't care. What's more important than preparing for a World Cup that your country is hosting? And a lot of the responses were, do you really think that playing Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago is prepping anybody for the World Cup? I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
It's certainly not prepping anybody at Pulisic's level for the World Cup. I mean, he's a shoo-in to go. There's not a question of like, he's on the border. Will he make the roster? Like, I get it for a lot of the guys that are getting called in right now. It really is kind of a make or break for them to be in that World Cup roster conversation, but not for a guy like Pooley. Like, he's genuinely the first name on the sheet for no matter who is the manager. Like, whenever you're making a roster, it's Christian Pulisic first name on the sheet, as long as he is healthy. That's not a question. And playing games again, like our struggle, okay, I will say our struggles do sometimes come from these like smaller island nations, but like really where we should be aiming at is to try and take steps against the larger teams, like your more of your bigger European ones, like Germany, France, Italy. Our goal should not be to try to prepare him to play against teams that are pretty much majority of which are probably not going to be at the World Cup. So, I mean, I think that the focus should be on maybe some more of the friendlies later on when we're playing, teams that are more so at our level or slightly above slightly above our level.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. If you need to prepare for a World Cup by playing Haiti, who we have not lost to since 1973, that's a problem, right? If that's what you need this for to let him beat, and granted, the games have been closer in recent memory, but in 2021, right, we just talked about the team that we brought to that tournament, right? It wasn't top level, but if you need Christian Pulisic to show up and play against Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago, and Trinidad, by the way, who I'm pretty sure the last time we beat them, what, 6-0?
I think that was the Jesus Ferreira game, was it not?
They're all Jesus Ferreira games. Let's be real, my guy. Sorry, no, we lost to them in the Nations League. That's right, in 2023. But the combined scores of the four games before that were 12, 19, 22 to nothing. So, and 2023 was Greg's last game in charge. So, new regime, whatever. Yeah, if you need him to show up to do that, and the other comment was, oh, well, he should be getting used to playing with his teammates and getting chemistry. Even if he brought the entire first team and let them play all 90 minutes of the entire tournament together, the World Cup, is over a year away. Chemistry doesn't last for a year because you're going to go play with other people. You're going to go play with other teams. You're going to go play in other systems. And then you got to relearn it anyway. I don't think there's anything here that says he absolutely needs to be here. And on top of all of that, Gold Cup is a B to C team roster tournament anyway. It always has been. Maybe not always. Maybe back in the past we took it a little bit more seriously when we didn't have these massive tiers of, you know, A team, B team, C team, all the way down to J team, whatever. But it's never been the tournament where like we need to win this tournament. It just hasn't. At least not in my recent memory. So why now? Because we got a World Cup in a year? I don't know. Not for
I
me.
mean, not to mention on the chemistry part of it, the starting 11 really has not changed much at all over the last few years. I mean, like, how much more time do these guys need to build chemistry together? Like,
Yes.
it either works or it doesn't. You know, like I can hear the argument either way that like, they have built chemistry together, or like you could say that the results recently have shown that they can't build chemistry together. But it's like there's not really a question of like, do they need to build it anymore? These guys have played together for years at this point. This starting 11, it's like you can name it like off the back of your hand easily. Like there's small tweaks that change depending on like if guys are suspended or if guys are injured, but like generally it's generally the same 11 guys every single time. How much more time do they need to build chemistry together on the international level? I think they've had plenty of time to do so already. So it either works or it doesn't.
And what I'll tell you is that building chemistry against a team that is significantly less than you in terms of quality and ability doesn't usually translate. I remember we used to beat the snot out of some teams back at Alfred and even in Comac. And when we would go from there and then try and step it up the next level, it very rarely translated that well. So, I mean, unless you're saying, oh, when we get to the final against Mexico, that's still an if right now, right? You got Mexico, you got Panama, who's better than us right now. You've got Canada, who's better than us right now. So you've got a group of people who are likely to beat you. But one other comment here before I move into a different section of comments, and this is my favorite, all of them. He's such a baby. He literally gets paid for this. If he can't be with the national team now, he doesn't ever need to be near the national team in the future. And this goes down a host of comments that basically say if he doesn't want to play in the Gold Cup, leave him off the World Cup roster.
Yeah, these guys get it. They get it.
All
Let's take our
knowledge.
winger that just put 30 goal contributions for AC Milan this year. Let's just take him off the World Cup roster because he's a little baby. Take him out. Get him out of here. I don't want to see none of this. I only want hard-nosed, tough players like Clint Dempsey. Bring him out the booth. Give me him instead.
This this woke nonsense is ruining our national team. How dare you need a break? You know what? This is how we fix our culture. If you choose not to play, you never play again.
Yeah,
Are,
you should just play like 4,500 minutes this season, you know, probably tear your ACL because you played 2,000 more minutes than you should be, and then we don't see you for the World Cup anyway.
I'm like I was reading some of that and I was like, there's got to be a satire account, and
It's
it's
probably a
not.
bot. It's probably
It's
just a
not.
bot.
It's not. I wish it was. I wish it was.
They're just trying to
Um,
rile people up then. That's how it is. Because it gets engagements,
it does. I mean, and that's
which is
that's the reason why
stupid.
you can't take U.S. men's national team Twitter seriously. You can't take any faction of Twitter seriously, right? But specifically men's national team Twitter because they are
Could you
just
like let's go back to 2014, 2018 for a second. Could you imagine we had a player who was putting up almost 30 goal contributions for AC Milan? Are you kidding me? People would have, their heads would have exploded. And now people are like, nah, we got to leave him off the World Cup roster. Like, what happened? How did this fan base get so privileged?
we got spoiled. That's exactly what it was. We saw a bunch of people start playing in Europe, and it was like, well, it's not good enough. Is
You,
if you're not starting and winning every trophy for Real Madrid, nope. Look at Jude Bellingham does it, and Jude Bellingham's English, and
they'd probably still say stuff about Jude too. It would only be a matter of time.
it is like legitimately the most ridiculous privileged thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, but again, this comes from the group of people, and I'm not, and I've been trying this year really hard not to just group everybody into one, right? But this comes from a large group of people who just play FIFA, see ratings, and are like, guy can't be good. He doesn't have a rare gold card. He's only non-rare. I'm like, sorry, can't have him. And guess what? Oh, you're rare, but you're not even a board. You don't even walk out. You must not be good. Do they even do walkouts anymore? I haven't played FIFA in like years.
Walk out of my team more like.
But no, just absolutely like the bottom of the barrel brain dead comment. Like, and it's again, it's not the worst one, right? Or not the only one rather, right? People are saying take away the number 10 from him, take away the armband, like you don't dodge national team duty after the Nations League, like you don't get to do all this stuff. And I remember making this comment to a buddy of mine. We were talking about this. This is coming from people likely tweeting from like a desk job who haven't moved more than 10,000 steps in 3 days, right? And this guy has played 120 games over the last 2 years and is like, hey guys, if you want me to be fresh for the World Cup, maybe give me a little bit of time off now. And they're like, nope, he's entitled. He's a bad captain to abandon the team. When's the last time Pulisic played in the Gold Cup, by the way? Hold on, I now want to
Has
check
he
this because
ever?
would this be his
Maybe when
first
he
Gold
first
Cup?
started. That's the only
Yeah,
time I.
he might have gotten in when he was like a teenager, right? But like again, this is never a Christian Pulisic tournament. Never has been.
It's not
That's
a
by
starters tournament, period.
no, it's
It's just
not.
not. Not anymore, at least. Maybe it used to be.
No, and again, I can hear this whole thing is like, oh, we're getting into the World Cup. We need everybody to play all together. Sure, maybe, but
Do it for the
realistically, right?
friendlies.
Yeah, at the
That's
end of
why
the
you
day,
that's why
like
you schedule friendlies.
yeah, but even then, like you really need to worry about it leading up to the tournament proper, not a year in advance. I mean, look at what Qatar did in 2018. They pulled their entire team out, put them in their own Qatari league, made them play every day together for 5 years, and got bounced in the group. So
Yeah,
what
they were
what does
awful.
that tell you?
Should be a good
Uh,
lesson for these fans, but
Qualifiers, friendlies, Copa America, Centenario, qualifiers, friendlies, qualifiers, friendlies, qualifiers, friendly. Oh, he was not in the squad for the 2017 Gold Cup. He did play in the Gold Cup in 2019, where we lost to Mexico, and he didn't play in 21.
so you play once.
And he didn't play in 23 either. So he played in one Gold Cup tournament back when he was which 2019. How old is he right now? He
Seasons
is
ago, he was probably like
26. So
20.
he was 20 years old. He couldn't even drink. And man, that was the last time he played in the Gold Cup. He couldn't celebrate making a final. Uh so yeah. To make it long story short, no, we're not kicking Christian Pulisic out of the team because he decided not to play in Gold Cup. Nor should we. And if that is your opinion, go touch grass. Maybe kick a
Please
soccer
do.
ball for
Please
the
do
first
touch
time.
grass.
Maybe kick a soccer ball for the first time. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you start kicking a soccer ball, you can replace Pooley on the national team,
Yeah,
and then you can make sure that you
you're
never
there.
miss a game, no matter what.
This is this is another funny one. Somebody compared him to Lamine Yamal at 17 years old. Pulisic has played 100 matches in 2 years. Lamine Yamal at 17 has played 104, and he has more international appearances. It's a 7 year difference, guys. Like, no, it's more than that. It's like it's 9 years. Do you understand how much your body changes in 9 years? When I was 17, I could do anything I wanted within reason, of course. I wasn't a super freak athlete, but I would be able to go and play soccer without stretching. Now I can't play soccer on a 7v7 pitch for 70 minutes without not being able to walk the next 2 days. Like, and he's an athlete, right? Like I mean, I'm an athlete too, but different levels. One day Christian will be like me, but like over 10 years, a ton of things can change. And Pulisic has had injuries before, and these comparisons are so silly. One or two more here before we wrap this up. This comment came out that if Milan was in the Club World Cup, which is happening at the same time, he would have played for Milan. But when it comes to the national team, he needs to rest. 1 year away from the World Cup, we need, the national team is supposed to be everything to this guy, but he's choosing not to play. Do you think he would have played? I mean, obviously he would have played if it was a Club World Cup, but do you think that's the right mindset?
Yeah, it's the Gold Cup. I mean, come on, people, like wrap your heads around it. Just because it's an international competition doesn't mean that it's one that needs to have the A team every single time. He just did Copa America. He did Nations League, at least from what I remember. Give the guy a break. Like he does not need to be here for Gold Cup. He's been here once, and the couple of years where he wasn't here and the US was at their best, he wasn't at the Gold Cup. So maybe that's what we need. Keep him away from the Gold Cup.
Literally. I'll combine this with another comment that this same one that I just read with another comment saying that his season upcoming is really easy. He has no European commitments. All he has to do is worry about the league and the cup. So he should have played this tournament. For
I
me,
mean,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. For
no,
me,
no, no, go for
this
it.
this is the wrong mindset to have, right? Oh, you can just play one more tournament. Oh, you can just play one more here because it's going to be easier as you go up. You're still playing 6 days a week with Milan. You're traveling all across Italy. You're going to play in these cups and whatever. You're still playing 6 days a week. Is it a bit easier? Sure, but you're not like it's not like you're walking around the pitch and not doing anything. I think Pulisic and his not his agent, they saw this, and yeah, if the Club World Cup was here, you're absolutely right. He's playing here. Why? Just going back to what we spoke about before, they pay him. That's his job. They told him to.
He'd
The
probably get a
national team.
crazy bonus if they did well too,
uh,
considering how much money's in there.
Well, and we know that, right? And there are no caps on that bonus, to my understanding. So yeah, he's going to get paid nicely there, right? But this is the mindset where it was okay. They were probably stressing over the idea that okay, we've got Gold Cup, we've got 2 weeks after Gold Cup to rest and relax, and then we go right to Milan and we do it again, and we play all the way through Milan. Milan season goes up to the summer of the World Cup, and we're right back in it again, right? Because I don't believe they'll have any long term breaks before then. Maybe I'm wrong there. I'm not sure. Somebody can tell me that.
By the
They
way,
s-
even if
Good.
you took out European games this season, he still played 40 times for Milan this year
Isn't that insane?
and
That's
almost
crazy.
3,000 minutes.
And from what I read, again, I'm not watching Milan week in and week out, but from what I read, his role as a right wing player was both sides of the ball. He was going touchline to touchline. I mean, he was defending as a right wing back and he was attacking as a winger. So I mean, he's covering record miles for his career.
But
But
easy season coming up.
yeah, don't worry. You only get to do that once a week or twice a week. You're okay. This is to me where they said, okay, we're gonna have to find a way to manage ourselves and limit our injuries, right? Because that's the other thing too is injuries are a real thing, guys, right? If you are overused, you're gonna get hurt, and the last thing you want is for him to get seriously injured. So then they see this break and they go, okay, listen, we can ask to not play the Gold Cup, which we shouldn't have been in anyway. And again, the majority of the first team isn't here. You can pick and choose certain players who might be involved, sure, but the majority of them aren't here. And then we can prepare for this easy Milan season coming up. And then we can go into the World Cup a bit more fresh. Or we can push it, and see what happens. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Right? At the end of the day, would I rather him play in a Gold Cup that at the end, by all means, if we won it, it would have been okay, good. It's just the Gold Cup. Or if we lose it, it's sound the alarms. I can't believe we lost the Gold Cup. There's no winning this. It's never good enough at the Gold Cup, right? So then we go and we say, okay, I'm okay with him taking this break because at the end of the day, now he's got 4 months to recover from Milan, or three, or not 4 months. I'm sorry, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it may be, instead of 1 or 2. Rest his legs, recover, get a bit stronger, get a bit healthier, have a better chance of getting through the season healthy at Milan, and then go to the World Cup at a higher level than he would have been had he done and played this tournament. Because, I mean, the signs of overuse are just lining up, right? All the games that we're talking about, the play style. I mean, I didn't do a lot of sports science when I was the grad assist up at Alfred, but I did a little bit with our fitness trackers, and it was like there's a ratio that you use for working energy versus kind of like casual calm energy. And if what I'm reading is true, where you've got, end line to end line, you're running all this time, that value is probably through the roof, which is kind of like the it's not a telltale sign, but it's a little asterisk that says, hey, you might want to watch this kid because he might get hurt. Now here we are, and it's like, okay, now we're mad that he's going to do that because he wants to make sure he's ready for the World Cup. Not for me.
Yeah, could you imagine he got a serious injury at the Gold Cup? The
Oh my
the
God.
the whole narrative would just change. You would just be destroying Pochettino. You'd be like, why would you bring him for this meaningless Gold Cup? And now we're losing Pulisic possibly for the World Cup, or maybe he's just coming back from a serious injury right before the World Cup. Like, why would you do this for this stupid cup?
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the last one here is, I guess, less to the Pulisic himself, but to the team as a whole, and saying that the captain of the team picking and choosing when he gets to play is it's a statement on the entire group that's saying the Gold Cup is optional and the national team is optional and it's second rate. Your thoughts on that, and we'll end it on that.
I think I might be coming in with little bit of a hot take to end things off here, but if it's not Copa America, World Cup qualifying, the World Cup itself, or maybe like a Nations League final, I feel like the guy has earned the right to decide when he wants to take some games off within reason. I'm not saying he should be able to like take off every game, but this guy has done so much for this national team. Even despite all the struggles, I feel like he is consistently one of, if not the best player on the field every time. He has literally carried this national team on his back for years. If he wants to take off for a Gold Cup, I don't care. He has earned the right to do that. Genuinely. If he wants to miss a couple friendlies, I don't care. He has earned the right to do that. He's carried this national team for years, and genuinely, I don't know what the national team would look like without him. He was the one to kickstart this movement, to really like kickstart this like insane wealth of talent going into the national team. And if he were to retire from the national team tomorrow, in my mind, he'd go down as one of the best, maybe even the best national team player ever. Like he has done so much for this national team. He's earned it like above and beyond in my eyes.
Do I say he's earned it? I mean, I'm not judging him for it, that's for sure. However, this idea that you earn when you pick and choose, I can understand people being upset with that because they see the national team as above and beyond, right? So again, and I guess to round this all off, right? I understand that there are two viewpoints to this. There are club over country or country over club, right? The people who say that your country's national team should come before your club team are going to be lit and they're going to be angry and they're going to be upset. Sure, the people who are out there, and I don't even think saying like, oh, country over club doesn't make sense. It should always be club over country, and he should pick and choose whenever he. I don't agree with that necessarily either. What I do agree with is the fact that if you understand that your body can't do it, it's better to let somebody who's at 100% go than it is to allow you to go at 75% or 50% and then get the roasting from the online Twitter sphere anyway saying, "Oh, he doesn't even look like he's trying. Like what, does he even care to be here?" blah blah blah. You're going to get the small end of the stick anyway. So, I don't mind his decision, though I won't necessarily agree with your thought that he's earned it. Like he earns when he gets to pick and choose. I don't think anybody's above picking and choosing when he goes, but I do think that I don't think it's a problem that he asked them to consider him not to be a part of it. Because I think if they said, no, we're going to take you anyway, I think he still plays. I don't think he turns down the call up. I think he asked out of respect and said, hey, I really I need a break here because I'm dying and I'm tired and I want to make sure I'm at the best of my best, whatever. If they had said no, we still need you here. We want to win the Gold Cup and get. I think he goes. I don't think he says thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to turn it down. That's kind of where I'm at, and I think that's the roundabout way for me.
I still stick by that. If he for something like the Gold Cup, if he came in and said if he turned down an opportunity to come to the team, I would not blame him at all. I'd be totally fine with it. That's where I feel like he has earned the right to do so. Whereas
Like,
like not saying like the guys that are in the team right now haven't like earned the right to do so, but it's like if you're on the cusp of like kind of being involved in the team and you're turning down an opportunity to come play, you may not get another call again. But Pooley will get the phone call the next time, no matter what. He's probably the first person Poch calls when he's, bringing people onto the team. But like someone like, Jack McGlynn, this is an opportunity you got to take and you got to go out there and, try to make a name for yourself with the national team. If you turn down the call, you may not get these chances in the future, or you may not get as many chances in the future.
mhm. Yeah, like I said, I think he definitely has more leadway being where he's at, but I don't think that's in his mindset. I think he asked out of respect and out of like courtesy to be like, hey, listen, just consider maybe not taking me. And we didn't even dive into this, but Pochettino and U.S. Soccer, some are saying threw Christian Pulisic under the bus, saying, that conversation was private and you very easily could have just said, yep, we're choosing not to take him because he's had all these minutes and it was our decision. But instead, they went out and said, oh, he came to us and said he didn't want to play, which I think is a whole nother thing that we can go down. I don't want to go down it today because I think it can open up a whole rabbit hole of stuff because then that gets into the coaching staff and the front office and things that I don't know as much about. but the way they handled that too, we might not be having this conversation if they handled it differently.